This is Tara Carr with Tara Talks for KDIV 98.7 FM. You know what, guys? We're in the last couple of days of February, Black History Month. And so with that, I thought it's only fitting that we wrap up this Black History series with us, the voice of diversity, KDIV 98.7 FM, because we actually made Black History just a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
And so I have with me today the executive director, the chief, the CEO, Reggie Brasfield. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Tara. How are you?
Awesome. I am great. So a lot of people may be familiar with the radio station, but they may or may not know that the radio station is a nonprofit organization. So tell our listeners about KDIV, about the Voice of Diversity.
Okay, so the Voice of Diversity, which is the nonprofit, it's a 501c3. It's been established for about 3 years now, a little bit over 3 years. And the radio station, which a lot of people know about, KDIV 98.7 FM, is actually, it's a resource. Excuse me. And a lot of times that's the big disconnect is individuals hear about a radio station, but they don't know that it's a commercial radio or a non-commercial radio station with, you know, a lot of volunteers, and it's under a nonprofit. So Voice of Diversity is a nonprofit founded around education, and the principle, that's kind of our leading principle, and after that you have your entertainment, KDIV 98.7, and then just how do we grow the business sector here, local and, you know, around the country if we can.
Awesome. So when I first moved to Fayetteville almost 5 years ago, one of the first things that my cousin said to me was, now, you know, there's no Black radio station. And I was like, what? Like, what? That's crazy. So, I mean, you know, my first couple years here was CDs or plugging up the aux cord and, you know, listen to Pandora or something like that. And then along came KDIV. So what inspired you to start the radio station and the nonprofit organization?
Right. Well, my inspiration was kind of twofold, right? Is coming to an area, being a young African-American male. I moved here in 2004. So a little bit longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
But the same feeling, right?
Yeah.
The feeling was mutual, is there weren't any outlets, or there wasn't an African-American, right? No voice, no outlet, no music that played urban music consistently. So that was one of the things that inspired me. And then the second thing that inspired me is I was working for one of the corporations here, and to have that voice and to be able to communicate, knowing that radio and broadcasting is very big on telling the story.
Yeah.
You know, telling about the people in the community. And although there are very few African Americans, there's still a story to be told.
Absolutely.
So those two things together really inspired me to work hard with the combination of friends who also were very interested in radio and broadcasting and a radio station, and I have family ties in radio, and everyone's like, you know, if we had a Black radio station, it would be tremendous.
Yeah.
So if you see a path and there's a need, then you try to pay that path as best possible.
Absolutely. And I remember a friend saying, oh, I know someone who's working on starting a radio station. I was like, I don't believe you. You're joking. Right. And then it actually happened. I said, okay, I guess he was right. So that's awesome. And with that, what challenges have you faced?
So the biggest challenge that we faced so far is just financial.
Yeah.
Right? And you think about nonprofits, we're a lot more unique than other nonprofits, right? We don't have just one mission of, hey, we're just going to feed, you know, the homeless or the people who don't have food, or we're going to have a shelter. We are actually, we reach so many different people, and that mission of educating people sometimes get lost because people say, well, how are you educating? Yeah. And then we go to the point of, don't think about music only, right? Think about your show, Tara Talks, right? This isn't a platform that is used to bring in the leaders in the community, whether it's business owners, the mayor, just people who can really give the listeners an opportunity to understand what's going on in my community, right? What's going on, you know, what tools and resources are available, where are their opportunities, things like that. That's just one example of how we're using this platform, KDIV 98.7 FM, to really just go farther than just, hey, we're going to play music and, you know, people can dance and have a good time. We really want people like yourself and like the volunteers and everyone who's a part to be able to put into it, because this is a community radio station and the output is so unique because it's from a very interpersonal, perspective. Yeah. It's from you, right? It's real.
Absolutely. And what advice would you have for someone who says, man, I see Reggie started this thing from the ground up. I want to start my own business or my own nonprofit. What would you tell that person?
Do it.
Yeah.
Right? Go for it. Because the worst thing about anything you want to do in life is to be afraid and not do it for fear of failing, right? Failure is, is imminent.
Yeah.
Right? We fail every day in little things and big things, but usually our failures are what catapult us to our successes, right? Like, I remember hearing something as success is, how high you bounce once you hit rock bottom.
Wow.
Right? So for anyone who's interested in starting their own business or company or organization, I would say just go for it. Believe in yourself. Know that there's going to be, some difficult times. There are going to be some great times. But if you do it all out of the right reason and you have a focus and you're willing to work, at the end of the day, you will achieve your goal.
Absolutely. And you talked about the community aspect of the radio station. What community service projects has the Voice of Diversity and KDIV done that you're most proud of?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is our community cookouts.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's something that I'm most proud of because it wasn't really the organization trying to take the limelight, but it was the organization saying, okay, let us humble ourselves, let us sacrifice time, let us sacrifice resources, let us sacrifice, being popular or just going to where, there's all the successful people, and let's go out and let's have fun with kids. Let's play music for the community. Let's go to a part of the city that is not doing very well, and let's give everyone hope, right? Let's give them a chance to come out. Let's not charge them. And while doing that, let's try to raise canned goods for, these poverty relief type organizations. So that I'm more proud of because it was something I saw like down the road. Since starting the organization and the radio station, I wanted to do things in the community, right? Because when people see me, I don't want them to see me and think that I'm someone who did well and now I'm above being, part of the community. I'm still a part of the community.
Absolutely. I'm
always available. And I want people to know that, I humble myself before, everyone.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that, as an African American, I don't have pride in what we've done and what I've done, but it does mean that, I can humble myself and be proud of that and not think that it's just me, because it took you. It took all of our volunteers. It took
team effort.
Yeah, team effort. And a lot of people sacrificed. A lot of companies donated.
Yes.
So I'm very proud of that. I think about the kids. Yeah. There are so many kids. I watch them play with bubbles and hula hoops, and I'm thinking to myself, this child may not have had a meal this weekend because they're out of school, and that's one of the biggest things we talk about is, how kids don't really always have the proper nutrition and food. And I said, you know what? We brought a smile on their faces. We gave them food, and we didn't ask for anything in return.
Absolutely. So, I love that. That's a good one. That's a good example. Who would you say is your Black History hero? My Black History hero. So I have a lot. I know. Pick one. I was thinking about it. Rosa Parks. Okay. I know a lot of times we say, Malcolm X, we say Dr. Martin Luther King. Sure. We do say Rosa Parks, but she trailblazed things in so many different ways, right? Not just as an African American, but as a woman. Absolutely. Right? To be able to do something that you feel is right and be willing to suffer the consequences of being, fair. Yeah. I really admire that. And I look at a lot of, our heroes and people who have done that, and I say, you know what? It was a very tough decision to make. Yeah. And I just admire that. Yeah. And if there was a Black person either in history or alive today that you could just sit down and have dinner with, who would that be and why? I've been thinking about this. I continue to think about this, and I'm sure when I leave, someone else will pop into your head. But if I could sit down and have dinner with anyone, I think it would be Malcolm X. And,
I love Dr. Martin Luther King.
Absolutely.
But I think Malcolm X, in his own ways, you know, he was that parallel that we needed for us to appreciate Dr. Martin Luther King, but also appreciate the things that he did.
Yeah.
And I think about, it was cultural and religious with Malcolm, right? Yeah. He was, you know, an African American man in a time where there was a lot of things going on to African Americans, and he stood up. And he stood up through twofold, right? He's first with the Nation of Islam, and then he separated himself because he felt so true about doing what's right and not letting one person or one group define how his actions were, you know, managed. I would just love to sit down and say, man, like, how did you deal with the pressures of, first, you are depicted as a very violent, or you put in a very negative light.
Aggressive,
right? And how did you handle that? And then you separated yourself from the core group that was giving you the opportunity. So now you're not just being, you know, targeted by people who don't look like you or believe in the things you believe in, but people who even look like you.
Absolutely.
So you're by yourself, basically. You feel alone. And I'm sure there were tons and tons of people who were there to support and to help. But just to figure out how to absorb that pressure and use it for positive.
Yeah, I bet that'd be a good conversation. What's a quote or a motto that you tend to live by?
Oh, man, a quote or a motto. I don't know. I have a lot of things that I live by, but I think the thing that was instilled in me my entire life was, you know, treat people the way that you would want to be treated and honor your word.
Yeah.
Like, those two things are things that I feel very strongly about. Is I treat people the way that I would want to be treated, and I believe that they would treat me the same way, and I don't have ill will when I do it.
Right.
And then, you know, if I give you my word, it's like my bond. I try so hard to, you know, live up to my word, because, you know, you can take, you know, all the material things in the world, but you can't take a person's, you know, word.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you this, even though I kind of know the answer to this, but I've been asking everyone else, where can our listeners follow you online? How can they support KDIV and the Voice of Diversity? Maybe make donations? And I'll let you answer that, but you know I know the answer.
Right. So there are several different ways to follow us. You know, we have Instagram at KDIV 97. Also Twitter, same at KDIV. We're on Facebook, Voice of Diversity. We have a page. We have a group. We are working on relaunching our website. Yes. That will be voiceofdiversity.org and KDIV.com. Those two things, as I said, are those two. The website piece will be soon, but people can donate through PayPal. You can find someone here locally in Northwest Arkansas. I almost gave my phone number out.
Don't do that.
Call and we can do it. But we're doing our best to recreate a really good foundation for people to be able to understand who we are. Yeah. A platform people can go out and to learn and be able to donate. Those are the things that's going to keep us going.
Absolutely.
You know, without the listeners and the viewers, we're just going to be, you know, gone. Yeah. And sometimes you don't know a good thing until it's gone. I don't want that to be the case with this organization.
Absolutely.
I want people to know that, like, we're 100% volunteer, myself included. Yeah. Right? You gave me all these titles, and I'm like, well, you got it. It's cool, but at the end of the day, I'm just Reggie. Yeah. I love being the chief, but at the end of the day, you know, I don't take from this organization because my goal is to give to the organization. So, for everyone who's watching and listening, like, I'm not just some guy here telling you to give money. Like, I'm giving money. I'm not getting paid. I've not asked to be paid. Yeah. I'm not asking to be paid. But I want people to know that, because if you give, I want you to give confidently. Absolutely. And, you know, not worry about where your money's going. It all goes back into the operations. It goes into paying bills, which we have. Bills. Absolutely. Everyone does. Yes. Right. So, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Yes, yeah. I do. I would first like to say thank you. Yeah. I think that you're done a wonderful job. I think that everything you do and continue to do is a very good example of what everyone should aspire to do. Right, you and Ryan and the entire group have given up time to be a part of this organization, and you trust me, and I trust you. And I think that as you continue to meet with the mayor and other business owners and other organizations, they start to really get a sense for the good people that we have. You know, it's until you really get to talk with a person and meet a person and see a person, you really don't know what kind of heart they have. So from me to you and to the group and everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, and sometimes we ask a lot, but we forget to say thank you.
I appreciate
and I get caught up. I do get caught up in moving and trying to get things done. And I realize how important you are. I thank you. And that's what I would like to say is, you know, for everyone who's listening, you know, you're an example of what we are, who we are, right? Selflessly coming in, giving of your time, everything you can to make us better. And I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate you. We recognize what you're doing and what you've done for Northwest Arkansas and the Fayetteville community. So happy Black History Month to you. We salute you. This is Tara Carr with Tara Talks for KDIV 98.7 FM, Fayetteville's first urban radio station, the voice of the city, the voice of the community, the voice of diversity.